See who's here. Anne. Hello, Brianna, Unique, Jessica, Joanna, Sedoya. Hi, everybody. Palsy is here. Oslan is here. Hi, Sarah Jane. Hello, everybody. It's so nice to have you all this evening. Angelique. Hi, Angelique. There's Anne. Very good. Does anybody want to share how they are doing? How was your week? Happy Friday. I hope you all are doing well and are, it's the end of a week. It is cold.
I don't know where you guys are all calling from, but I'm in New Hampshire right now, and last time I checked it was 7.
Yeah. It's getting there. It is getting there. Hey, Sarah, you're popping in.
I'm sorry, Sarah. It's 64 degrees.
You don't have to rub it. You don't have to rub it in. It's okay. It's all right.
Okay, and you're taking it day by day. Oh, you're in New York. Okay.
78 degrees. Yeah.
I think that's what she said, 78 degrees. She might be in a warmer state.
No. It's 64 degrees. That's because it's late. But actually today, I'm in Florida. So today it was, 73. Yeah.
So
wow,
nice.
you're so blessed.
Yeah. So. But it was cold last night. I woke up and had to put a blanket on. It was like 60.
Oh. Meanwhile, the wind is whipping us in our face up here in the Northeast.
It's 18. Woo.
Welcome, everybody. Welcome to tea time this evening. Anybody else want to share how they're doing? How their week went? How are you all feeling? It's the end of another week and it's the end of the month too. So how are we all doing? Anne had mentioned she's taking it day by day. Absolutely. Absolutely. It's 26 degrees, but I'm very hot. My week was amazing. How about you? My week was busy. It's the start of a semester. College just started, so working with lots of students. So that kept me busy, but I'm thankful it's the end of the week. Thank you for asking. All right. Well, I'm sure more ladies will pop in. 8 degrees Celsius, feeling like minus 15. Absolutely. All right, everyone. So we are going to get started to stay right on time. I'm so excited that you all are here this evening. So today, or this evening rather, we have Jaleesa Sainvil with us again. If you all remember, she was here at the beginning of the month to start us off on our New Year, New Me series. And she is closing us off this evening with a gentle reminder that it's just the beginning and we can certainly hang in there. So to provide a brief introduction for those of you who are not familiar with Jaleesa, she works in the mental health field as a social worker and totally believes that mental health is crucial to the overall wellness of the physical body. She and her husband have a ministry called River of Peace, and where they use a coaching approach, teaching style to assist individuals in restoring their peace of mind. You can typically find Jaleesa spending time with her loved ones, painting, kayaking, working on DIY projects, and coaching women through their maternal process and experience. So we're very blessed to have Jaleesa here again with us. And I believe that we are all in store for a blessing. So without further ado, Jaleesa, please take it away.
All right. Thank you all so much. Good evening again. Thank you guys for having me. And I look forward to us working together this evening. And I say working together because we're going to be, I want it to be as interactive as it could be. Now, I believe from my experience coming on here that tea time is interactive anyway. So I'm not too concerned. But as we go through it, you'll kind of see what I mean. So let's just start. I think, did we pray already? I'll just say a quick word of prayer. Lord, thank you so much for the opportunity to just share. I ask that you'll be with us now as we be encouraged, as we've made some resolutions out this year, that we may be encouraged to continue on. I ask of all these things in Jesus' name. Amen. All right. So last time I was here, we kind of talked about different barriers to actually implementing these New Year's resolutions. And we looked at it mainly from the position of mindset. Okay. And so that's great. We talked about the terminology was called cognitive distortions. And I believe Sarah, I sent her the document that I promised. And so you guys were able to get those documents. And if you need it again, I can definitely send it over. And different thinking patterns that we can use that can lead us to not really continuing and persevering through the goals that we've been working on. So tonight, we're going to look at other barriers that can possibly implement other barriers for us implementing our goals. And they're going to be barriers that you share. Okay. And so let me just define a barrier. A barrier is basically an obstacle that prevents movement or access or pushing forward in success. And so we're looking at barriers also like problems. Okay. So when I say barriers, I'm also thinking problems. And I'm saying this terminology because that's kind of what we're going to be working with. Barriers, problems, things that's just in our way. We got some things we're working on, but there's just some stuff in our way. And so I want to start off with doing a role play with Sarah Jane. Okay. Now, this role play will be the basics of kind of the presentation, but then I'm going to ask some questions to kind of help Sarah in this role play. And then as we do that, we can work on implementing the principles of how to deal with barriers and obstacles that comes in our path as we're trying to push forward in these goals that we're trying to work on. Okay. So let's go. Sarah, you are going to start with the role play.
Okay. All right. So basically, I've been having some problems or some issues with being consistent with my exercise regimen, my exercise routine. I was doing okay for a little bit, for a few weeks, but now not so much. I'm waking up late. I'm tired. I'm missing the exercises because I'm tired. So that's a little bit of my dilemma.
All right. So that can be frustrating. What have you noticed has been making you wake up late?
I'm just super tired. Yeah, I'm just super tired. And what has been making me wake up late? I don't know. I feel like I've been getting up often during the night to go to the bathroom.
Oh, okay. So you've been getting up often and then with the night to go to the bathroom. When did that start? Are you drinking right before bedtime?
Not right before. So I try to stop about an hour or so before bedtime, but I'm finding that I'm still probably at least once, but sometimes 2 to 3 times I'm going to the bathroom.
2 to 3 times.
Mm-hmm.
So you're not drinking right before bed?
I mean, so not before bed, definitely not an hour before, but I do know that recently I've been drinking a lot more water than I used to.
Okay.
And so I set that goal and I met that goal, which is great. But at the end of the day, I'm realizing that, well, sometimes I don't necessarily space it out. So at the end of the day, I realize I'm guzzling down the water so that I can get it down before I go to sleep, even though it's still not exactly right before bed, if that makes sense.
So you're thinking that I didn't get enough water throughout the day, and so let me get my water in. So you just guzzle it.
Yeah.
Well, maybe it's still like an hour before bed, but you're guzzling the water. All right, so we're gonna pause and I'll role play. So here's our role play. I'm gonna ask you guys a question. I'm gonna propose a definition. What is Sarah's problem? Okay, what is Sarah's problem? Now, just to give some definitions for definition's sake, problems, there can be primary problems and secondary problems. A primary problem is what causes a pain, and is what typically it's someone they come in for, or it's like it's what's very relevant to them. But it can also create secondary problems. So secondary problems are like the effects or the outcome of the primary problem not being dealt with. Does that make sense? Okay, so let's help Sarah out. What are some problems that you have noticed that she shared? And I have some that I noticed, but give me some feedback. What have you noticed are some problems that Sarah shared in this scenario? Very tired, okay. Lack of time management for her water, good. Her water intake, good. Can't wake up early anymore. Okay, great. Yes, acute tiredness, perfect. Oh, that was so quickly, I didn't get to read it. Water intake causing her to wake up in the middle of the night and not feeling well rested in the morning. Yes. Wake up many times at night. Yes. All right, so here's my question. Is her not being able to wake up in the morning, or no, her waking up late in the morning and being tired in the morning, is that her primary problem? Is that the main problem that's causing the other good? So what would you say would be the problem before that problem? The drinking of the water intake. And then even if you want to be real specific, the water intake, good. So the drinking of the water, and then there's the water intake, right? So this is important when we're dealing with obstacles. Now, has anyone had issues with drinking water, sleeping, and exercising? Because that's my problem. Yeah, we all there, right? So we have all these amazing, great goals and ideas. And what happens is that we do them and we kind of forget that there is cause and effect, right? Like we got a reason from cause to effect. And sometimes when we don't find out what the minute problem is, it just develops. And like I said, you have a primary problem that actually creates all these secondary problems. And so, if Sarah, I'm sure she probably dealt with a little bit something of this nature, or maybe it was a little bit different, may not have even considered that the real issue with my exercise is that I don't have a good water intake schedule. But you all saw it very clearly, right? It was almost like, duh, right? And so this is very important. So when we talk about dealing with obstacles, one of the first things we have to do is identify the problem and identify what is a primary problem and what is a secondary problem. Because the truth is we can be our own problem solvers. Right? When we understand what the problem is, then we may be able to identify, okay, can I resolve this problem on my own? Do I need to get help to resolve this problem? You know what I'm saying? But we can start to understand some things. Now, obviously, I'm not trying to tell you to go and diagnose yourself with some type of, I'm not telling you that, but just being able to deal with some of these goals that we are working on, you can be able to identify, this is the barrier. This is why I'm having a hard time with this. It's just because there's some other little problems that I need to deal with and I need to address. And I was sharing with Sarah that, like, for me, I think I sprained my back muscles. I didn't even know I can do that. Or it's not sprained, it's sore. So I was exercising and I had like a week and a half exercise hiatus. I was busy. I couldn't find the time. And so I was like, oh no, I have to get my exercise in. And so I started doing this other regime that I haven't done before. And it's just 10 minutes. 10 minutes. 3 rounds. I only did 2 rounds. And last night, I did it. I think I did it yesterday morning or the morning before that. Last night, I could not move. I was laying in bed and I literally felt like I can't sleep. Now, while I was sitting up, at work, my back wasn't hurting me, but the position I was lying in at night, it was because the exercise that we're doing were positions in that I was lying down, I was on my back, and I was doing all this ab core exercise. And so here, my mind, oh my goodness, is it my kidneys? Like, is something wrong here? Oh, you know, am I drinking enough water? And then I was, okay, wait, let's go back. When did this happen? My thighs are sore, my calves is sore, everything is sore. And I'm like, I must have never worked out the muscles in my back before, because I've never felt this before. I was like, okay, I asked my husband, okay, let's test out this theory. If it's an internal organ, it should hurt whether I'm in any position. I move, it feels good. I move, oh, I felt it. Okay. Can you massage that area? Oh, that feels nice. This sounds like it's a muscle that must be sore. And so just going over the course, I was able to be like, okay, I'm not crazy, you know, now let's kind of see. And as the days went, it still hurts, but the pain is lessening and lessening. So I'm like, okay, this was an obstacle. So now I'm behind again by a few days of exercise. I got to be more wise and intelligent of how I'm implementing in my exercise regime, because guess what? That pain, I was like, I'm done. I exercised for the whole year. I'm done. I don't need any more, right? You know, the exercise is so intense. And so we want us to take a step by step to identify what are some barriers and obstacles that is breaking that down. So the first step, like I said, is understanding the problem. And I actually have a document that I'll share with you all in order to deal with breaking down the problems. And this is a problem solving document. So the next step is considering what the problem will look like once it's resolved. Now, oftentimes with problem solving, we want to go straight to what are some solutions we can put in place. And that's nice. However, if we don't actually know what we're trying to resolve, then we may choose the wrong solutions. So I'm going to pose that question for you guys. If Sarah's problems were resolved, we identify some of her problems. If her problems were resolved, what would that possibly look like? And her problems was not getting enough water. I mean, her water intake, the guzzling the water, being tired when she wakes up. She will reach her physical goal. Okay, great. Can you make that a little more specific based upon the specific problems? She'll be waking up early to work out. Great. Yep, she will have more energy. She'll be able to work out. Speaking of, she'll get a proper water intake. Great. She'll feel all around better. And so what we have here is that since there is a primary problem and a secondary problem, you might have multiple solutions that you have to implement because the different problems are kind of different. And so she'll be waking up and consistently doing her exercise. She will be waking up on time and refreshed. She won't be waking up throughout the night. That was another thing that was on there. And she will have a good water intake schedule. All right, perfect. So now, what are some possible solutions? So this is how we do with solutions. After you define the problem, you develop multiple solutions to the problem. Think about alternative solutions that don't even seem to make sense if you want, just for laughing sake, because remember, you're problem solving. You want to do this in a way that it doesn't make you drive you crazy. But you think about alternative solutions, especially because we often get stuck on what has worked on in the past. And so it's hard for us to move forward from that. So when you think about multiple solutions, even ones that seems crazy, like get someone to throw water on her every morning to make sure that she's awake. Even ones that sounds crazy, it's just allowing your brain to exercise thinking outside of what you're used to normally thinking, okay? So drinking water 3 to 4, is that 3 to 4 hours before bed? Yes, drinking water 3 to 4 hours before bed. Great. What else? What are some other possible solutions? A water schedule. Perfect. Perfect. And that's because if that's the primary problem, set phone reminders to drink water throughout the day and cut out that, I've had a water schedule on my phone. It was very annoying, so I took it off. And And then what I need to get, which I have not gotten yet, what I would normally do is I need to drink like 4 bottles of water. And so I literally bring all my bottles at my desk, bam, right there, right before my face. I have to see it. I have to drink it, and I tell my clients, remind me, hey, if you see I haven't been drinking water in a while, just say, hey, your water's there. Do whatever I gotta do, because getting that water intake is real. Like, we all know it's real, right? Another option could be getting one of those jugs that have like the time frames on there. Yes. There you go. You just said that, right? And so, because that's the primary issue. So what we typically do is we focus on that's the primary problem. We focus on the secondary problem. So if we didn't go through this, we would have just been like, oh man, you're not exercising. Okay, well, maybe you should do your exercise at night. Maybe you should try a different time to do your exercise. Urinating directly before bed. That's also a good one. And we're not focusing on what the real problem is, which is just her water intake. Infused water count. What do you mean by infused water? You can type it, or you can speak it if you want.
Hello, everyone. What I mean is those cups of water that may have a few slices of cucumber, lemon, or the leaves of mint, just sitting there infusing into the water so that you can get like the benefits or whatever.
Yeah, definitely. I'm like, how did I miss that? That's definitely what that means. Sorry. Yes, that would actually count the same because it's liquid, right? So it's liquid passing through. It's passing through our kidneys. It's passing through our bladder, and our bladder just gets like, okay, you need to release. And so what happens is what the issue with Sarah is that even though she would not stop drinking maybe an hour or 2 hours before, she will guzzle. So the body still has to process that, and there's still that's going to go through it's going to go to the bladder to say, okay, I'm ready to release. Now, if she took like a smaller amount right before bed or an hour before bed, it may not have affected her. It was just because of the quantity of that. Chewing the water, great. Not guzzling the water, right? And also doing that throughout the day helps you to really not just be going to the bathroom all the time. I've also saw that when I'm like, oh no, I haven't drunk water, and I haven't really drunk water for a while, maybe I only have 1 bottle. Even if it's like midday, once I start drinking again, my body's like flushing. Because even if it's like 4 o'clock, I'm still trying to guzzle it down. And so good. So we see that we're able to deal with that at the root problem, right? And so once we choose the solution, now we need to assess it. Right now, obviously, we kind of already chose her solution for her. She needs a water intake schedule, and then we can find out what will be some barriers. Do you need to do the bottle with the time or set an alarm? We can make that work. But now we're just trying to make it work, right? But you assess it. Let's say she had a few different options. She may assess: should I do the buy the bottle that have the different water intake, or should I set the alarm? Now that varies upon financial resources, or if she could have her phone going off so often, And so we assess it and we see what's the strengths and the weaknesses. I work from home. I can have my phone going off every 10 minutes, not a problem. But if you don't, you might not be able to do that, right? And so, or I don't have any money, but I have a phone. I can, do it that way. So we just assess it. And that's what is different from each individual. Assess exactly what is the strength and weaknesses, and then you choose it. A part of assessing, you also think, is there a long-term goal or is it a short-term? So, is it a long-term solution or a short-term solution? We want long-term solutions, right? And so if I'm going to get annoyed with my phone going off, that may be a short-term solution. And be honest, that doesn't mean that it's not a solution to choose. You may decide that, you know what, that's a short-term solution. I'm going to reassess it in like a month to see if I've learned any new solutions that I can implement, right? And then, will I follow through with this? You can have the best solution. If you're not going to follow through with that, it's worthless. It's just worthless. It makes no sense. Everyone go ahead and grab a sip of their water. So the best solution, if you're not going to implement it, it really is worthless. And so that's why you assess that solution to see if there's any barriers to that. And then after you do that, you implement it. Now, when implementing your solution, there are things to consider. Can your solution be scheduled, or is it in response to something? This seems more like a scheduling thing, right? But there may be some solutions depending on that may be a response to something. And so like if something triggers you, you may implement this thing, right? And so that varies depending on what the solution is. And I know this sounds a lot, but then after you review, give yourself time to review it. Was it effective? Did it work? Did it not work? You know, and we just review it because we're moving forward and we're going onward and we're just trying to move out the way things that are just stopping us. And we see like we have control over the way or Sarah has control over the way she can schedule her water intake, right? And she didn't realize that thing was just causing her to go off. And then, you know, if she wasn't able to get up and do her exercise for a few days, can you imagine now the thoughts coming in, like we talked about in the beginning of the year, the thoughts that's coming, okay, well, I haven't exercised for this week, yesterday or today. I might as well just start over next week, you know, and you start to have these things that's coming in and play and things of that nature. So does it all make sense? All right. So now I have a question. Would anyone like to work through a problem solving with something, an obstacle that they're finding with one of their goals? It doesn't have to be a health goal. It can be a relationship goal, whatever goal that they're dealing with that they've put together for this new year, or maybe for last year and they're reassessing it. Does anyone want to identify one, and we can work through it together and kind of implement these problem solving skills? I'll give you a few moments to think about it if you would like to.
Well, I mean, if no one else has any, I have a million problems, so I can go again, but I'll wait to see if anyone else has any.
And it doesn't have to be it doesn't have to be anything too deep if you don't want, but it can be like, yeah, I'm just having a hard time with, you know, procrastinating. Because that happens to me sometimes, and you know, or something of that nature. So it doesn't have to be like some type of deep thing if you feel like I'm not ready to share something deep. All right, so we got money management. All right, so let's work through it. So what's the problem with the money? What's the problem? Like, you know, when Sarah started, she goes, I'm having an issue with getting my exercise. I can't wake up. When I wake up, I'm tired and I'm late. So what is it about money management that's causing you a problem? Not able to save paycheck to paycheck. All right, cool. That is great. There's many of us that's in that situation, not being able to save paycheck to paycheck. So here's a question. Have you ever been able to save? No. Okay. Do you have a budget? Okay. So do you have a record, at least, if not a budget, a record of your ins and outs? Like how much you make, but how much your actual expenses are. Okay, good. So when you look at your ins and outs, do you see that what you earn is drastically less than what you have to spend, or it's barely, it's just there? And by the way, you can always talk if you don't want to. You don't have to type it all, because the answers might get longer and longer. So you can feel free to.
Okay, so it's enough. But to me, every time before, so say if you get paid on Friday, by Sunday, it will be like it's done.
Okay. So what would you say, or anyone else, what would we say is the problem? Let's kind of identify, but we have to define the problem. What's the problem here? So you can say it, or if anyone else is seeing something, I know we can ask more questions, because you ask questions. Like we're gonna ask questions and dig into this a little bit.
Unnecessary purchasing and food purchasing. Food is I think majority of every check goes to food. More than
Mm-hmm. No, that's perfect. So you're identifying that there's unnecessary spending and food purchasing. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about the unnecessary spending. What have you identified? Because I know you said that you do have a record of what comes in and what comes out. So what have you identified as unnecessary? Because for each person, that can be a little different. So what have you identified as unnecessary?
buying outside food when there's food to be cooked.
Okay. Anything else?
5 and below kills me.
You see, and this 5 and below, I'm telling you, those discount stores, now I understand them, but those discount stores, it's like Dollar Tree. You go to Dollar Tree and
Oh
you
my
thinking you're gonna walk out there spending like $5, and you're like, how did I spend $25 at Dollar Tree?
Listen, it gets me every time.
Every time. Okay, so 5 and below. Okay, so the miscellaneous spending, would you say?
Also games through Apple. Ooh.
Okay. So miscellaneous spending, games through Apple. Okay, what else?
I have 2 kids. Miscellaneous. That's
no. We're gonna make that separate from the miscellaneous, but the 2 kids plus the miscellaneous that comes with the 2 kids. That doesn't even include your personal miscellaneous.
the school always needs something. The field trips, even though it's COVID, they still need something.
They need to get, well, they do virtual all day, so let's not do that to the poor kids. School needs something. They grow. They need something. Shoes.
No, my kids go into school.
Oh, okay. You're right.
It's a private school, so it's only like 4 people to a class or so.
Okay.
But they right now she has a field trip. She needs $10 for that. Uniform, they're a uniform school, so you gotta buy uniform. Shoes, they eat up their shoes. It's a lot of stuff.
Yeah. So okay, good. So we're getting some more. So we got, let me tell you what I got down so far is buying outside food, miscellaneous, like your personal miscellaneous, and then games through Apple, 2 kids plus their miscellaneous. What else?
You got the games? Yeah.
I got the games.
That's really it. Maybe like, okay, let's say maybe shopping online.
Okay, online shopping. Is this like for clothes or is it for the gadget?
Well, Navy sends a coupon. I need it.
Okay, all right. Okay, online shopping. So would you say it's the lowering of the coupons? Like there's a deal?
Definitely. Emails come in all the time. They have this on sale, 50% off all the time.
Okay. So you're getting caught up in the sales scams, right? They're good. They exist, but sometimes they scam us. I remember going.
Definitely, because once you put the sales code, then they do shipping and handling. They go to sales right there.
You're right. You're definitely right about that. Would you consider let me throw out some other possible unnecessarily spending that I've noticed? Subscriptions. Do you find you have like, you got Amazon Prime subscription, Netflix subscription, this subscription, all these subscriptions, you just get out?
Definitely, I have Netflix, I have Disney Plus, I have Hulu, I have Showtime. Oh, Jaleesa, yes.
Okay, subscription. Okay. And then you said food. And I mean, I'm sure there's others, and you guys all might be thinking of other possible unnecessary ones that you have. That's great. But let's just kind of go on to the food. Let's look at food. So obviously, food is a necessity, right? I'm not going to tell you don't eat, but could it be that there are some spendings with food that could cut back? Is there like type of foods? I know you said the buying outside food, but outside of that, is there anything else when it comes to the buying of food that's not outside food that could make your ability that can make your food spending a little bit more than it needs to be?
If you grocery shop, you should just eat the food that you use when you go grocery shopping. But see, I have this thing where, hey, Sunday through Thursday you cook, Friday, Saturday you eat out. Like and then Uber Eats, and it's just a lot.
Okay, so maybe some of your personal preferences, it weighs on your food budget, right?
Definitely.
Okay. So now that we went over some of this, because like I said, this is not exhaustive, and when it comes to financial management, this is definitely something like a sit down to work on. But now that we went over just kind of briefly over that, what would you consider is your problem?
Me or them? I'm confused.
Anyone can share, but based upon like some of the unnecessary food spending and food, what are some other problems? I'll put it that way. I know we talked about
no discipline.
No discipline. So discipline, like how? Lack of discipline.
Okay, so discipline. Basically what would happen is, okay, say if I use all my check, I would be like, oh mom, let me borrow $100 until my next check. That's not discipline.
Okay. So lack of discipline. All right, good. Anything else? Okay, so I was not seeing all the different things that was coming in. Hold on a second. Budget a place for every dollar. Okay. All right, cool. So great. So we're getting into some solutions here, and that's perfect. What we have going on here. So we identify. So you saw like the first problem that was presented, the primary problem, right? Well, it's not the primary problem, but the problem that brings you in is I can't save, right? And then as we start to like dig into asking these questions, we're like, well, hold on, actually, my ins and outs, okay. Wait, now I look at my unnecessary expensive. Oh, there, okay, and then we actually understand, okay, it's a discipline situation, right? So we got, at least this is a discipline situation. And there may be some other situations going on. So for the sake of, just a quick discussion on this, if your problem was resolved, so now you're able to save, right? Today or next week, you're able to save. What would have to change, or what would it look like? And no problem. If your problem was resolved, say next week, by next week paycheck, you're able to save, right? What would have to change, or what would have to change in order for now your problems to be resolved? Based on
I would have to, the idea that I don't know how to say her name, is it Sierra? To have my job take a certain amount of money, like how I do HSA for medical purposes. I have them take out, so I have an HSA card just for medical purposes. So I should do that to like my credit union instead of my bank account. So that would be a good idea if I was to do it next week, to see a savings happening. I would have to have them take it out so I don't see it.
Okay, that can be something, right, to help you with getting more discipline. Okay, perfect. Any other suggestions, guys, on if her problem was resolved, what would have to change, or what can change in order for it to be a resolution? And then we'll talk about some things that can be done in order to get to that resolution. And there's some already on here. I'm gonna actually I'm just gonna copy and paste some of these answers just because I can send it to Sarah if I put it on the group chat, just in case someone else is like having an issue with money management. And these are some good answers. On the group chat, it says decrease takeout. So why they are decreasing takeout, right? So sometimes I'm a cold turkey person, but I'm not gonna force people to be cold turkey, right? So if we do takeout 5 days a week, we can go down to 4. And then we can go down to 3, if you're just like, nope, I really know I need to do it, it's imperative that I need to do it, then you can reduce that, right? Save first before spending. Perfect. That's the example that was giving. Cutting down on the subscription, trying to figure out what is actually necessary. One of the biggest things is having a budget, though. And that is truly telling your money where it goes. And there it goes. There it goes right there. Telling your money where it goes, because you are in charge of that money, right? And so at times our money be controlling us. It just be telling us what to do. And so so I only get, I'm gonna just do basic numbers. I only get $1,000 a month. And so one of the things with budgeting is, what are my essentials? So because one of the things that you identified is having unnecessary spending. So the opposite of that will be, what are the necessary spending first? And you take out those necessary spending. And guess what? A part of your necessary spending, Crystal, because that's something that you're concerned about, is your saving. So just like how your cell phone bill is a necessary spending, maybe the car note, the rent, you throw the savings in there as a necessary spending, because that's your specific crutch that you're coming in there with. Because ultimately, that's a big problem for you. And so, well, in regards to what you're saying, that's a problem for you. So we still want to make sure that what we're setting up is going to resolve that problem. And you may decide that that spending can be just being able to, I mean, that savings could be, I want to save enough money for retirement. Okay, let me not be so extra. Okay, I want to save enough money to have $1,000 at the end of each year. You kind of decide what that savings look like. Create on a spreadsheet. Okay, hold on. So I'm just looking at here. Creating a list of wants and needs, real size the difference. Yes. I'm just going through it. Making cookie a family thing on weekends. That's such a good idea. Krista, what do you think about that? Making cooking a family thing on weekends.
Jaleesa, I really can't say yes or no because my patience is very slim to none. So I could try, not saying it will be all the time, but I can try. It's nothing wrong with trying something.
That's good. But remember, when we talk about solutions, right? We assess it. Look at the strength and weakness and see if it's a reality. So that's perfect. That's how you do it, right? And so a lot of times, like I said, we kind of come up with a solution and then we kind of want to just stick with it. And so it's okay to say, can I really do that? Maybe not now. Maybe I need to develop some patience first, and I need to make that a goal before I implement that. And that's definitely not a problem at all. Anyone else want to share any thoughts? But so you got some concepts here, Krista, right? So what was some takeaways or some solution takeaways that you think that has been mentioned that you're like, you know what, I can start even from now just looking at that?
Definitely putting aside from your paycheck so you don't see it. The one with the family cooking, the one cutting down some subscriptions, the one that they just put up, find a way to increase your income. But I feel like when I increase, it's gonna make me want to spend more because I know I got it. But that's also a good one. Couponing. I've heard some really good stories about couponing, like really, really, really good stories. What's about accountability?
Yeah.
Definitely. Hold on.
You guys are giving some great these are great.
I like these.
Going through them.
See, there's no cable package because we got all the subscriptions, so we don't need a cable. I could cut down the subscription plan.
Good, and you can compare prices. You can also compare prices.
Because I really don't. Sometimes you really don't need Showtime, Stars, and all of them because you already seen what you want to see, so you can take it off. If you being lazy, you just leave it on. Those are, I would say, out of everything I've seen so far. Create a budget on an Excel spreadsheet. Definitely, I like to write, so that'll be good. Yeah, those are the ones, Jaleesa.
Perfect. And like I said, I'm actually copying and pasting all these amazing ideas because once it's off, is off. And don't worry, I don't have your name on there. It's just the information, and I will give it to Sarah. I'll just post it on the group so that you guys can look at that. But so yeah, so what we just do from here is then we look at that, we assess it, right? And so I'm going to send a document to you guys as well that you can kind of be able to assess that. So Krista, you'll have that document so you can assess it, right? And what happens with meeting goals, it depends on if you really feel like this is a problem. So like when you really think it's a problem, you're going to do what you got to do to work on it. Right. And so like, you're like, this is an issue. This is preventing me from having financial freedom. Oh yeah, I'm going to work on that. And I'm not going to bombard myself, but I'm going to take it step at a time. And I think Sierra just mentioned that, was it that she's in finances? So, hey, chat with her, like we gotta be there for each other. But you guys see how we can take these, what's causing us a disturbance of our peace, right? And we can just go back and say, okay, well, but what's causing that? But what's causing that? And we're literally reasoning from cause to effect. And in that reason from cause to effect, the Bible actually tells us that, the cause I knew not, I sought out. And so we can be able to identify and search for the cause of what's going on. So we can be problem solvers. And I always tell my clients, I tell my friends, like, I just want you to be able to solve so many problems that you're going to look for problems to solve. I know people say, no, we're not. But I just love it, right? Tell everybody else's problems. I got my own problems, I need help solving those. But you know what I'm saying?
Sorry to cut you off. One person said the cell phone package, definitely, because I just got the new iPhone like a crazy person that I am. So yes, I could have just paid off my 11 and just kept it moving, but no, you see, there goes the money problem. See what I'm saying? Yeah, so I don't use my watch. I could just get rid of my watch. It's a lot of things that when you really look into it, you can get rid of.
Yes. So Krista, I will encourage you, like, if there's any way to connect with anyone who's into finances, or we can, speak. So one of the things I wanted to share is that my husband and I, we are doing for this year, offering like a 2-session coaching session to help people to put together their not their financial goals, but kind of like some goals. And so that includes finances, that includes whatever goal you have for the year. And so obviously we'll have to connect with certain people with their experts, but just kind of helping you to put together the goals. What are the objectives to meet that goal? What are the barriers to meet that goal? And it's just like a 2-session thing. We establish it 1 week, and then maybe within a few weeks, we kind of recap on that, just to get through and break through this thing that we kind of worked on today. And so my information will be shared on the Tea Time chat. And so that's kind of what I have for you, ladies. I wanted to be really interactive and being able to kind of just process through and break down, because sometimes we have these little nuances in our experiences that builds and builds and builds, and then it becomes a bigger problem. And then we try to fix this big problem and we don't take it back step, and realize that it's not as overwhelming when we just break it down piece by piece. All right. And so with that being said, that's what I have for you guys this evening.
Thank you so much, Jaleesa. That was packed with a lot of practical, tips and strategies that we can utilize ourselves when we're trying to evaluate exactly, what goals we have and why we may not be reaching it the way that we would like to. So I appreciate all of that. And I'm sure the ladies did as well. So we have time for maybe 1 or 2 questions. Does anybody have a brief question to ask Jaleesa? The floor is yours. Maybe 1 or 2 questions.
I'm new, so I want to ask a question. What is the base of Tea Time? Like, how did you guys come up with it? Who runs Tea Time? Just kind of give me like a briefing, because Jaleesa invited me tonight. So I wanted to come on, see what it was about. What's like the whole thing, bringing women together, or